Do you have trouble falling asleep sometimes, or you wake up in the middle of the night and you can't get back to sleep? I created a special meditation to help you fall asleep. With soothing, relaxing music and binaural beats, this meditation takes you on a hypnotic journey to the astral plane to experience pure love. And I can tell you from personal experience, it works. Check it out at hightimelinebooks.com. And sweet dreams. Welcome to the Fun Astrology Podcast. Thomas Miller here. Thanks for joining us. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about. And I'm just going to really make this a heart-to-heart conversation because I have notes all over the place that we won't get to, but there are so many important things to talk about. And the first of those is lucky stars, because boy, did this hold accurately true last week. Hi, Kristin.
Hello, Thomas and Fun Astrology Podcast. Happy Monday. Today is a more cautionary day. Tuesday and Wednesday are both lucky days. Thursday and Friday, we are back to the cautionary energy. And by Saturday and Sunday, we're in the challenging energy of the full moon. To find more lucky stars days for April, join the Lucky Stars Club. I have Elisa as my special guest for April, and we talk all about the energies. We can't wait to see you there. I hope you all have a lucky week.
So last week, the lucky days were the beginning of the week, and then we had cautionary days, the end of the week, challenging days. And look at how everything unfolded in the markets. And nobody has a crystal ball, especially Jim Cramer, but what she just described could very well be the markets this week. I don't know, but we'll all be finding out together. Okay, the big business of the week astrologically. Let's talk about that first. Astrologically, forget about all the other stuff going on. The two personal planets that have been in retrograde for the last couple of weeks start to peel off and head back direct. Mercury is first. That's today. If you're catching this early, it's 7:07 a.m. Eastern Time. Then Venus, the planet that rules money and love and relationships and things beautiful, turns direct on Saturday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. And that also happens to be the full moon, the first one since our last eclipse, right? The new moon, which was the solar eclipse, well, now here we are 2 weeks later, the new moon on Saturday. And that, by the way, will be in Libra. The moon will be in Libra, which, of course, is ruled by Venus. How appropriate all that ties together. There are two videos out on the YouTube channel, the Fun Astrology YouTube channel, and that is a weekly overview like we normally do, and that I had done before the market situation on Thursday and Friday, and then an update on just that in a separate video. One other technicality on the retrogrades turning direct this week, for those of you who like to have the entire picture, Mercury will not return back to where it was when it went retrograde until April 26th. And for Venus, that will be May 16th. That's what's called the shadow period, and it does leave some residual retrograde energy behind. However, the main elements of the retrograde will be behind us by the time we talk this time next week. There's another very important aspect in the sky this morning, and that happens even before Mercury turns direct. I mean, this is all stacked right on top of each other. It's all happening there in Pisces, too. Venus, which is in retrograde until the weekend, conjoins Saturn, kisses Saturn on the lips at 25 degrees Pisces. And that actually is a really big dynamic in the chart right now, because you have Venus, Saturn, and Mercury today, this morning, all in a row. Venus, then Saturn, then Mercury in Pisces. And of course, because Venus and Mercury are turning direct, they are super strong this week. But let's talk about this aspect for a minute, because it's very important with what's going on right now. And Kristin is going to elaborate on it, a separate element of this tomorrow, because Venus also sextiles Uranus tomorrow. And she points out brilliantly that Venus in this retrograde Pisces dynamic can take us back to nostalgia and looking at things of the past. Saturn wants us to look at things realistically. Today, from this aspect, could feel a little heavy for some of us, especially with what's going on in the world around us. And if you've looked at your financial statement over the weekend, it definitely could be a little bit heavy. One of the things Saturn is doing is causing us to look at the brutal truth, particularly around these Venus-ruled areas, love, money, the things that we value the most. You know, if you were just doing cookbook astrology and hadn't read the headlines, you would say that there could be some constriction around these areas. And of course, that was exactly what happened last week, and it was in play last week. But I think as we personally approach this aspect today, one of the things that we need to just simply reevaluate and look at again is, are we spiritually alert and awake? Or are we creating fantasies and romances from the past that no longer serve? Ooh, let me say that again. Are we really facing our true spiritual awakening and our spiritual path? Or are we romanticizing things from the past that no longer serve? And if you had a journal and some tea or some coffee and you just camped on that one thought for today, that would serve you well responding to this aspect. If you're not interested in hearing a few more thoughts about where we might be economically here with what all happened in the markets, then this is the jumping off place. We will say have a great day, and Kristin will be here tomorrow. I'll be back on Wednesday. Don't forget about the 2 YouTube videos. But I'd like to take this a little further because obviously now I'm recording this over the weekend and the markets will be opening up and we will have pre-session futures trades that I don't know about when I'm recording this. And this is what I wanted to just fillet out on that second video that I did, the update video on the YouTube channel. In reflecting a little bit, it takes time to process this stuff. I mean, this is heavy and this is big. And I started this podcast 6 years ago with the idea that at some point there could be this, say, massive shakeup. I mean, I've been reading the astrology. Look, you can't have Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn and not have things happen. And a lot of what we're experiencing right now is because of the economic policies that were enacted during COVID in 2020 and 2021, particularly flooding our economic system with free money, printed money. Just like in astrology, there's always an opposition there somewhere. There's always another side. And in economics, there also is. You can't dump that much money onto the world's stage and not have problems. Now, that's just one piece of it, but it is certainly a big piece. In the video, I talked about the whole challenge with Pluto and the reset and Aquarius and all of that. You can reference the video for that. I mean, we are combining pieces of that Saturn-Pluto conjunction in 2020, along with the Pluto return of the United States chart in 2022. And it was like, this stuff is so big that it's not the in-the-moment stuff. And we realized that even when we were watching Pluto hit its return spot in the United States chart 3 times in 2022. We're like, this is a big, wide orb. And I even went out on the limb and I thought, maybe this has been building since World War II over the last 70 or 80 years. And I don't think I'm wrong in that, especially now. So this is not stuff that's going to just be, as we sometimes say around here, the Starbucks drive-through kind of thing. But something happened on Friday that is quite telling in this whole picture. And that is that while the market was crashing, also the safe havens went down. That is gold, silver, oil, the places where money usually moves also sold off quite a bit. That can be one of 2 things. It can be purely reactionary. It can be the institutions just dumping and raising cash, or it could also be that there are further structural cracks that we don't know about. But here's what I would say. If you just want a few random thoughts on maybe how to approach this, and this is not financial advice and I'm not right, the very first thing we all have to do right now is pray for wisdom. Dear God, dear source, dear universe, dear whatever gives you the spiritual strength, be our Pisces strength, right? Saturn and Venus together today in Pisces is get down on your knees and pray for wisdom. I firmly believe if you stay connected, remove all of the things that would block you, all of the hindrances. I talk about this a lot, but really keep yourself clean right now. Set intentions, ask for guidance. You'll get it. If you don't, ask what's in the way. But beyond that, we have to back out and consider our time frame. If you were trying to make money for tomorrow's bills, then basically we're all screwed, if that's the objective. You never should be in the market with that. You might as well go to the closest casino and just give it to them. But as I was talking about, even if we back up and look at this from a perspective of what's going on with Pluto, what's going on with Aquarius, this is all covered in the video. But presuming that things are okay for right now, And if you've been putting money in the market, let's say you're in your 20s or early 30s or mid 30s, and you're not going to be needing this money until you're in your 60s, well, then this is like they just put a great big sale on, hey, 20% off of everything in the store. And you can nibble in and do some investing for the long term at discounted prices than just 2 weeks ago. And there's something in the markets called dollar cost averaging, and that's where you nibble in a little bit here. If it goes down some more, you nibble in there, but it's money that you're not going to pull back out for a long time. And you realize that over time, the United States markets have grown. Now, that's X what we're talking about, these phenomenal things in the sky of Pluto being in Aquarius, square to Taurus, the money sign, Venus in retrograde in Pisces, although that is temporary, but then also the 5 outer planets changing signs, Saturn and Pluto of 2020, and the Pluto return to the United States chart. And the main thing I would say here is we have to be aware of that. We have to be starting to take it into consideration, and most people don't want to look at that. I think we should be. And I wouldn't be telling you this from my heart if I didn't. It's not to scare, it's to make aware. Don't think that this is some, conspiracy theory, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to hear that, YouTubers. I don't want to hear it. It is me sharing my heart, trying to say, you're not going to get this in other places. People don't understand the sky. All these people on CNBC and everywhere else, they don't get this piece of the puzzle. Ray Merriman absolutely does, so stay close to the Saturday newsletters if you're interested in this. But believe me, if this progresses, then we're all going to be interested in it because a loaf of bread is going to cost about $50. I'm not kidding. So don't go to fear. Let's read the signs as they unfold. But the most important thing, as I just mentioned, and this is so illustrated by this message in the sky today, of Saturn and Venus conjoining, Mercury turning back direct, is to ask for guidance and wisdom. Ask that your Mercury mind powers, which are really strong right now, in Pisces, give you that intuitive perception that Pisces is so brilliant at providing. And then we'll keep watching things as all this unfolds. But boy, wow, we knew this was going to be something else, and here we are. Thanks for a few extra minutes of your time. I'll see you back on Wednesday. You're in very good hands with Kristin tomorrow, talking about another money aspect, Venus and Uranus. Have a great day, everybody. I'm sending you lots of love. Big hug. We're all going to be all right.